Hi everyone. Hey, the purpose of this video is to solicit your suggestions and recommendations. We're leaving in December to go to Europe for Christmas. We're going to do, you'll see a trip that includes rail, cars, Uber, etc. The intent on this trip is to really make sure we have our act together. We're coming back after Christmas, and then we're headed back again next year for a couple of months all over the EU. And we want to get it right this time and do some lessons learned, and then come back next year and not have a problem. The idea is this is a very short trip where if we do miss something or forget something, we've got family there to support us, versus next summer, when we go for a longer trip, we'll start down the Mediterranean. We will not have family to assist us. So the purpose really is a couple things: show you what we're doing. Our goal is to see the entire EU in 90 days, asking for what we've missed, not considered. Recommendations, and also please leave your comments on the YouTube channel, and we've got about a month and a half to get this thing figured out, and then we're off to go to try this trip. First thing we did is we tried VacationsToGo. I have never used a travel agent before. I typically do my own bookings. I choose VacationsToGo because I really was looking for a repositioning cruise. I'd learned about these inexpensive cruises to Europe, and we wanted to try it. And so I went to VacationsToGo. I'm really happy I did. I've never used one, as I said, but the travel agent I used I thought was stellar. Now, those of you who have used a travel agent in the past are probably going to say that's normal. Well, it wasn't normal to me. I thought he really went over top. So first thing I did was look for December to December repositioning cruise, any port in the US. That was, then I said, show me the deals, what's available out there. This is what came up with. The good news for me, it did actually come up with one cruise I wanted. Here's the cruise number. Leaves the right day, leaves in New York, and gets to England. It was only $700 a person, and I was happy with that price because it's no more expensive than a flight, and we get to try these 7-day cruises to see if we like them or not. It's a transatlantic cruise on a ship, no stopping, etc. So we want to try it, and we're going to give it a shot. The one thing that amazed me about VacationsToGo, or at least Micah, our travel agent, was when I got on the phone with him to book this deal, he kind of had a couple questions, and I, in my mind, was thinking, look, you've already made this sale. I'm trying to book this. Why are you asking me these several questions? I already know what I want. What I found out later, after about 2 or 3 minutes, was as those 4 or 5 questions he was asking me, he was able to find a better deal than this and a better room than this with some onboard credit. So this was a no-brainer to me. I frankly was shocked that after finding a deal this good on their website, that just based on asking a couple of questions, he knew all the availability and could get me a better room. Now you're probably saying, okay, Carl, why are you only going for the cheapest room, inside cabin, etc.? It was intentional. 2 things. Number one is, as you can see, there's no stops on a repositioning cruise. You just float for 7 days. But also we're going in December, and that means it's gonna be really, really cold outside, and I want an inside room so we're not dealing with those cold Atlantic days. So that's the reason I chose the least expensive trip. This is Micah's. This is not the slide I wanted to show you, but that's just his contact info. I want to show you this. So what I really liked about this was VacationsToGo has numbers in multiple countries. And so I just downloaded these so I know in Germany, England, and France. If I need Micah, I can email him, or I can call these numbers and get him as well. So that was important to me. Again, not using a travel agent in the past, but saying, okay, what do I expect to have happen? How do I make sure it's not painful? I can navigate through any issues I uncover. Next thing we did is we really wanted to look at using data. So we found this Airalo. We can buy eSIM cards and European eSIM cards. We're going to multiple countries. You can get these actually by country, regional, global. We chose a regional Europe because we're going to be in 4 different countries. We land in the UK, and we are going to go through Belgium, Luxembourg, and then to Germany, and that's why we needed to do it that way. Now, some people may say, well, Carl, you have AT&T. Why don't you just pay for the $10 a day and you can talk and use as much data as you want to when overseas? That's true, but 30 days is $300. one of these SIM cards that I needed. I chose the Eurolink because I'm going all over Europe. 41 countries. It's good for 30 days. I happen to be going for 30 days. It's only $20 for 5 gigs. Now it's all data, right? But remember, WhatsApp and Google Voice both use VoIP, as so does Facebook. So I'm not worried about using this. I did a quick some research, and a 3-minute call on WhatsApp burns to about 3 gigs. I don't intend to use voice calls. I intend to use this just for texting and telling people where I am. What I want you to see is 30 days, etc. Now, my big question was, I went down and called these guys and said, hey, listen, if I buy 30 days, I want to install it here now and buy it now, but I don't want to turn this eSIM card on until I get to UK. Is it good for only 30 days from the start or when I arrive? Well, the answer is it depends on the card, but Eurolink is, the 30 days begins when it connects to a European tower. So I bought it now in October. It'll turn on in December, and I'll spend 20 bucks. It's good for 30 days. I did email them. Here's how I wanted to email them. So I want to show you this. So I have the WhatsApp app, and I have a last slide that's going to show you all the apps I'm using. But this is WhatsApp. They're on WhatsApp. So I emailed them this thing about the question about how long it would last. They got back to me in about 15 minutes. I was very impressed. This thread also said, hey, how hard is it to install an eSIM card? I'm not that technical to go do these pretty sophisticated things. It took me about 3 minutes. It's very simple. I was stunned. There's a YouTube video. They have their own YouTube videos on how to do it, and it was very fast. So I'll let everyone know in January how it turned out, but right now I'm really happy with this $20 purchase. Next thing we did is looked at Eurorail. So we found this app called Rail Europe. It's kind of like Priceline for trains in my mind. We went through a bunch, but this one seemed to really have their act together. So we went on this site. As you can see, we're going from London to Biden, where we're headed. You can get your dates. Also, if you're over 60, they have a special rate on how to get there. I really like this piece. I want to show you why this site. I'll tell you why in a second. So this is what it comes up with. It says, hey, you've got 2 choices on the 11th. One you leave at 11 a.m., gets here at 10 p.m. Another one you leave at 3 p.m., get there the next day. Look for those dates, 5:30 a.m. Now, obviously, I don't want to do 3 changes over 10 hours for probably about a 1-hour flight, but I just wanted to see how to do it. And I think I may do this anyway and kind of cut it up between 2 or 3 countries, because I want a chance to kind of test our skills out in navigating different trains and methods of transportation on, again, this short trip. So if we get caught, we can say to my son, come pick us up, versus, you know, we're in the Mediterranean somewhere and there's no one to help us. I want to show you this because as you look, so I chose this one, the 11 to 10-hour trip, and you go, okay, I'm on Eurorail, there's the rail, and we leave London and we get to Brussels. Okay, but then you'll have 20 minutes to get to this next train. Now, of course, it's ICE, a different train line, so can I get from Eurorail to the ICE rails in that particular train station? My greatest concern was this 20-minute interchange. Typically in a train station, I wouldn't be worried. 20 minutes is a lot of time, but it's London, a non-UK, a non-EU rather, country, to Brussels that is in the EU. So my guess is going from London to Brussels, I'll be having to go through customs, and clearly 20 minutes wouldn't be enough to get through customs and find this train. Other than that, they're very simple, right? After on ICE, one particular line the whole way home, Brussels, Frankfurt, Nuremberg, same trains, they're on the same tracks. That'd be pretty easy to do. My point is, you got to really think about, are you going in and out of the EU? Because if you're in the EU, you can travel country to country, but if you're going in and out of the EU, then you're gonna have to go through customs as you go. I want to show you this. So I downloaded a bunch of languages. If you go to Google Translate, and again, I'm going to show everyone our apps at the end, you can actually download languages. So of course I've downloaded a lot of languages, but in this particular, because I'm doing all these next summer, but I had Germany and French, etc. So you download these languages. They're not really that big for an iPhone these days. Why it matters is if you get into a country, and since they're downloaded, you don't need to use your internet. So my wife has downloaded these on her phone. We're gonna use her phone for all things non-internet like this. We use my phone for all things that require internet, so we're not blowing through someone's phone and their batteries. We get a chance to use 2 different phones. The nice thing also with Translate is not just you can use conversation mode, so I'll do a video on that, how to talk back and forth. You can also take a picture of a sign, it will translate it for you. So why do I want German? It's not just because, you know, most people in Germany can speak English, but I think it's respectful to at least try their language. It's kind of fun. Plus, if I get to a train station, I don't have to look for someone who can speak to me in English that will read a sign for me. I would just want Google Translate to take a picture of the sign and tell me what it says. So that's why we did it this way. Google Voice, you also download Google Voice. And the reason, because if I do want to make a phone call, I can use WhatsApp. They have voice, but also Google Voice does as well. It's all voice over IP. So as long as I've got that internet access, I can make an ear-to-ear phone call to my son or somebody else. As a side note, if I blow through those 5 gigs I showed you earlier on that SIM card, since I have the app, I can reload that same SIM card with more money. So I don't anticipate doing that, but just in case I need to, you know, I could. I want to show this because this is their site. And so I went on, when I was going through the SIM card thing, I had 2 big questions again about when does that 30-day activation start, and then how easy it to do this. They're on WhatsApp, and so I was on WhatsApp, sent them this quick text, and they got back to me with about 15 minutes, very sharp. My point is I want to keep this because let's say I get to Europe, I've got a question, now I've got a thread going with this company versus trying to find them on a new link if I'm lost. Also want to go through Airbnb. So we've chosen both Airbnb and VRBO. I'm going to show you why. So this is the official website. Of course, I've already downloaded their app. I want to show you this. So we chose this. I want to show you this because we just chose Munich, when we're going to go. And you can see the prices are pretty amazing. And I want to show this one in particular because it's not just homes. This is a hotel. So I Googled this hotel, and this price is better than I get on Priceline or other apps. So my point being is, if you want to look at Airbnb or VRBO, many times hotel rooms will get in there as well, just as an FYI. I want to go to VRBO also. I've also downloaded this app. I'm showing this for one big reason, and that's this. So on the way out of Germany, we're going to go back and spend a couple of days in London, do some shows, etc. And so I chose for VRBO just London and vicinity in England, just my wife and I. And you can see over here they've got, you know, where all the dots are. This one made a lot of sense to me. Sleeps 2, excellent reviews within city center, so right where you want to be. It's excellent. This one's exceptional. I thought, okay, why $70 more? But then I realized it's Stollar's Flat, 12 minutes tube to Oxford. Tube means, you know, the metro. I don't want to drive 12 minutes to and from to get into downtown. Plus, if I'm in downtown London and it's going to be cold, and we say, hey, we're freezing, we went to the change in the guard, we're cold, we could run back here, warm up for a couple hours, go right back to enjoying the city. Just as an FYI, I just want to show you this kind of London and vicinity. I chose London. The app itself chose London and vicinity. And just be careful when you read these descriptions of exactly where they're at. Of course, they're going to show up here. My opinion in London, I want to be in London, and we're going to try to be there on New Year's Eve so we can, you know, see the fireworks, you know, as well. Next, let's get into RVs. Now, we had initially thought about taking our van over with us. Did a bunch of research, and for us, it was just for 90 days. Next summer, it was just cost prohibitive. You got to ship it over. It takes about 30 days. You got to ship it back. You've got to get it there insured. You have to bond your RV while you're there, so you know they're not going to sell it while you're there, and you have to pay a bondsman. So there became so many oh my goshes of this. I said, listen, let's just rent the van while over there. It'd be easier. The challenge I really saw was with our van, of course, we all have air conditioning and lots of lithium batteries. In Europe, they do lots of RVing, but they're almost all pop tops. They don't have air conditioning. So it doesn't sound like a big deal until you're going in June, July, and August. And you know, right now Europe's getting to 90 degrees also. Can't imagine sleeping in a van at 90 degrees with no AC. And so we decided we're gonna go to this trip, kind of going, use van for some trips, then train, bus, etc. So that 90 days is gonna be a variety of the ways we're gonna get around. I did this because I like RoadSurfer best because you both have camp spots and RV rental. So you can rent your RV and camping spots on the exact same site. This is just a picture in Grafenwehr, that's Germany, on this date, what's available for a campground. And you can see here are all the ones that are available. Of course, this is the one that chose for me. What I want you to see is it's a description of what it looks like. You can click on it. So this is just like a Harvest Host app or a typical app or a Google map. Same thing is true for rent for RV. So now you go to the RV side, select where you want to pick up and drop off, what your dates are, search, etc. It runs the same way. Now, what I want to show you is one important thing, and that's this. So it says pick up and drop off. Well, I found this group called Anywhere Campers. Now, this is a small company, only 50 vans, but they're the only one-way rental company. So what we're thinking about right now is when we get around June 4th, renting a one-way camper van to Normandy, then doing one of those bus tours for 2 or 3 days to see Normandy on D-Day, June 6th, and then headed back. So that's why we looked at Anywhere Campers. My point is download all these apps, set up your profiles, and if you need to use it, you can. And I'll report back in January what we thought of these guys. They also have free campgrounds that actually kind of like Harvest Hosting, so they're called Places. So park4night.com. This is where free or near free things all over Europe. Tested this out also. And here's an example. I chose Grafenwehr. There's one site here and describes what it is next to a forest pool and sports plots. And it's got water and it's at €1 per person. So when you choose it, it turns colors. Disposal is free of charge. So if you have to dump, it'd be free to do that. Next thing is how do we get from England, from the UK to the train station? We need Uber. And so we went to Uber. What's important about Uber in Europe is they're in like 77 countries, but my son taught me this. He uses a local firm, not Uber, because although Uber's all over Europe, it may not be in your particular town. So I said, okay, I definitely want to take an Uber from the cruise terminal to the railway station. It's only a couple miles away. I could walk it, but I don't think I want to walk pulling suitcases for 1.5 miles, in England in December. So this is what it looks like. They were available, so I could order right now. I could reserve a ride right now, and you can see there's 3 cars right around the terminal, and that'd be an easy trip for 15 bucks. 12 pounds is about $15. So my point was, this shows that this is well worked by the team. I saw the same thing when we were down in Key West last winter, where the campground we were at, we would choose Uber and they'd say 1 minute away. There were just a lot of Uber cars around that area. And so this makes complete sense to me. I'm also gonna do one more thing. I'm gonna go with Uber Cash. So you can use your credit card, but you can also put money on an Uber Cash into your account. I'm going to do it this way because my concern is I get there, I've got my credit card on file, I go to use Uber, and all of a sudden my credit card company, for whatever the reason, shuts me down and I can't get access to use Uber. So recall earlier, no, I've got internet access to Airleo. I want to use Uber. I'm going to pre-plan some of these trips, pre-purchase them or reserve them. But this is how you do it, Uber Cash, and I'm going to figure out how much I need to put on this card and probably put an extra 34 bucks in case I need it. Here are the apps I'm using. So this is the picture of all the apps I'm using. RoadSurfer, Airalo, Park4Night, Rail Europe, etc. And then here are a couple more. This Google Translate, in my opinion, is the most important one you can put on your phone. That way you can talk and communicate constantly. So that's it. Finally, these are the countries we're going to. A couple things are important. Here's a list of all the countries, and you can see we're starting to fill out where we want to go in each country. These are countries we want to go to that are not in the EU. So the reason this is important is because this. In the EU, you can stay a maximum of 90 days within 180 continuous days. This calculator, you can say, here's where I'm going, here's where I'm leaving. Go through multiple times, they can tell you if you're going to break the law or not. We don't want to break the law in Europe for sure. Point being is, as you're going through, since UK is not the EU, you could go through, get up to, Finland, and then jump over to Norway or the United Kingdom and get out of that 90-day window. And so we're trying to figure out how to work these 4 countries into these countries. We're kind of going in and out of the EU. So instead of having to slam everything in 90 days, maybe it's 4 months instead of 3 months. That's our thought. Bottom line is, this is what you really gotta watch out. A friend of mine who lives in Germany told me about this. They don't play games about stay in your 90 days. I went on and tried to apply for extended visa, and it's very difficult. You have to have a real solid reason. The solid reason can't be, I'm retiring, my kids live in Europe, I want to go see it for 3 or 4 months. You have to have a real reason. Point being is, since you know this, don't become a victim and have to leave a country. Make sure you knock out where you want to go, and of course, pop in and out as you can to extend that stay. Last thing I want to show you is Google Maps. And so Google Maps, you can download areas offline and navigate. I'll create a quick video on this, but I've used this in the past. I used it 2 years ago. We went to Germany at Christmas time. So you can choose a country, Germany, or a specific couple of towns you're going to. You can zoom in on those, press offline map, and we create an offline map for you that you can download. Why that's important is, again, you're not using gigs to kind of navigate as you're walking through a town. My wife and I use this a lot. So if you're in some small town, these are very small streets, sometimes even don't have internet access, but Google Maps uses GPS. And so as long as you've downloaded that and you choose walking or anything you want to, in our case, walking, it will walk you down some of the smallest back alleys you've ever seen right to the very cool thing you want to see. It's really worth it. And then I want to show you, this is the last thing. This is what I downloaded it, and you can see it expires 1 year from now. So of course, I'm going to download every country we're going to be in next year. I'm going to also download Belgium and UK now, but on that longer trip, I'll download all the countries I'm going to go to in terms of their maps. Again, it's just freedom, and you're not a victim of, oh my gosh, I can't figure this out. So that's what we're doing. Again, my initial premise, if you will, is please, real fast, give me your feedback. Oops. Please give me your feedback. What we've missed, what we haven't thought out or considered. If you've been to something really cool, let us know. A friend of mine told me about